Hi friends, and welcome back to the weekly wedding chats with the Sixpence, where we sit down over a cup of coffee and talk all things wedding, from budgeting to inspiration to navigating the planning process. I'm so excited about today's episode because we are diving into one of the most personal and honestly one of the most overwhelming parts of wedding planning: your wedding theme, aesthetic, and style. And listen, this is a totally subjective process. There is no right way to do this. The right wedding aesthetic is the one that feels most like you. But sometimes having that much freedom actually makes decisions harder, not easier. So in this episode, I'll be sharing insights from our Director of Marketing and Advancement, Daigle, and the lead planner at Foundations Wedding Planning, Shelby, Vance. I interviewed both of them for this segment, plus tons of inspirational examples and actionable tips to help you start to build a cohesive design that makes your wedding day feel intentional from start to finish. We'll touch on inspiration boards, 2026 trends, and leaning into their expertise across the wedding planning and event planning process. Just a quick summary on these two. Brooks is our Director of Marketing and Advancement, meaning she is responsible for our brand advancement, both digitally, but also personally as well, in the community, vendor relations, event hosting, and storytelling. She's been with the Sixpence from the beginning, and she brings a cohesive and thorough understanding of the Sixpence, the brand, and our vision. She also throws some really spectacular parties, from annual garden parties to Valentine's events, to open houses and styled shoots. She is part of the magic behind the pretty things that happen here at the Sixpence. Shelby Vance is our lead wedding planner. With over 8 years of wedding industry experience, Shelby is an expert in bespoke design and full-scale wedding planning. She has an eye for innovation when it comes to weddings and is passionate about all things style and design. These two are wildly successful in their areas, and it is an honor to get to share their insights on today's topic. But before we start, today I am drinking Espresso Starbucks Blonde line with Hattie's Coffee House pH Delight syrup from Pink House Alchemy, and it's honey and cinnamon and vanilla, and then with whole milk. Cheers. Now let's get into it. Theme versus style versus aesthetic. What's the difference? So let's start by clearing up the terms you see all over Pinterest: theme, style, and aesthetic. They sound similar, but they're not the same. When I talked to Brooks, she explained it like this: your theme is the most straightforward concept. It's the specific idea woven through your whole day, maybe a location, a movie, an era, a storyline. Your style is your personal expression. That's where your taste, your fashion influences, your favorite textures, and your personality come in. Your aesthetic is the umbrella term. It's the overall feel of the wedding, the mood, the atmosphere. For example, your theme might be garden party. Your style might be vintage lace, lockets, and whimsy. And the overall aesthetic becomes Secret Garden meets Wonderland. And when I interviewed Shelby about this, she said something that I loved. Your wedding aesthetic should be based around a feeling. She always asks our couples, how do you want your guests to feel when they walk in? Your inspiration images should give off that feeling, not just be a pretty picture. To give you some visual context, here are just a few aesthetic categories you've probably seen on Pinterest or seen trending. Maximalist. Think bold color, fun patterns, layered textures, and playful, eye-catching florals. Eclectic, patterned decor, dramatic attire, elaborate installations. Color blocking, colorful palette, creative seating charts, winding tables. Classic elegance. This is clean lines, structured florals, black tie influence, timeless details. Garden wedding. Organic greenery, soft movement, light textures, nature-inspired design. You'll see more soft palettes. This comes through in florals, fabric, down to the tablescapes and the details of your invitations. The Sixpence is committed to being a resource in the wedding industry, and we carry that through on Pinterest too, where we save boards and pins, creating content and inspiration for wedding style, aesthetic, and more. I'll link our Pinterest below, so if you're loving what you see, go check it out. This is all great and good, but how do you start defining your aesthetic? This is the part where people could get stuck, where it might feel overwhelming. So here's how to uncover what you actually want. Look to your real, everyday life. These were some of Shelby's biggest recommendations. What are the colors you naturally wear? Which textures do you reach for in clothing and home decor? What art styles inspire you? What music or films move you? How do you like spending your time? If you thrive in bustling environments, love big groups, and feed off energy, your wedding might lean into a larger guest count with a big party atmosphere, amazing music, intentional guest experiences, things that hype up the crowd. If you love intimate dinners, cozy spaces, deep conversation, you may be more drawn to banquet-style long tables, candlelight, softer textures, and a more intentional, slow-paced design. Secondly, look at both timeless design and current trends. When I talked to Brooks, she emphasized how beautifully timelessness and trend can blend when done intentionally. You don't have to pick one or the other. Combining them can create something personal, stylish, and still lasting. And lastly, use inspirational tools intentionally. We have our Sixpence Pinterest boards. We have real wedding highlight blogs. Have a look at those and look at past weddings we've done. I say all this leading into our next point. As you're using these inspirational tools intentionally, comes the number one tip for your wedding planning. If you only do one thing to make the rest of your planning easier, please create a mood board. How do I start to build a mood board? First, start with inspiration. Wherever you're finding this, Pinterest, Instagram, or our Sixpence boards. Then, look for repeating patterns in your images. From here, you're going to choose 3 to 5 anchor words that describe the vibe you're leaning towards. There is not a right way or a wrong way to do this, but as you start to look at the pictures that you've pulled, what are they saying to you? Is this a deep, moody vibe? Is it soft? Is it light? Is it airy? Is it classic? Is it timeless? Is it bold? From here, you're going to curate everything into one cohesive board. This is where it's very helpful. Everything comes together and you have it in one place to continue to look back on it. And lastly, you're going to align your design with your venue. We'll talk about venue selection next week. And the biggest tip for all of this is once you have curated this mood board, share the mood board early with your vendor team. This part is huge because the same word like whimsy, garden, bold, modern, they can mean completely different things to different people. And a mood board ensures that your entire vendor team is imagining the same wedding you are, and it ensures that they're on the same page from the beginning. Why does defining your aesthetic early matter? When you have a clear aesthetic early on, it does 3 things. It reduces decision fatigue, it creates consistency and cohesion, and it makes your vendors' lives infinitely easier. Every decision becomes simpler because everything either fits the aesthetic or it doesn't. It's like a compass. Your vendors will love this because they know exactly what direction to take, and you aren't left with having to decide on a font for save the dates, invitations, menu signage, and more, because you've already set your wedding brand from the beginning. Your intentionality early on will save you so much time and stress further down the road. I cannot stress enough how much your future self will thank you for taking time at the beginning. We have so many amazing design examples at the Sixpence, so let me walk you through a few. This is a real wedding highlight feature of Taylor and Noah. Taylor and Noah's wedding is the perfect example of a couple letting their personality shine. Think pops of color, mismatched textures, outfit changes, an iconic getaway car. Even their cake had a creative flair. Every detail was them, bold, joyful, authentic. Every so often, foundations designs styled shoots, and they act as inspiration and also a resource that we can pull from, like we are here. So this was the cherry red shoot. It's intimate, moody, classic. There's satin textures, gloves, sleek imagery, all very elevated, but still considered deeply romantic. This is a completely different aesthetic. This is more of a modern, classy. We have soft, modern, romantic, brown instead of black accents, single stem lilies, dreamy whites. It feels fresh and contemporary, but still soft. These act as like a great inspiration tool, but every year brings its new set of trends. These are trends that we loved in 2025 and what we're predicting and what's coming in 2026. When I interviewed Brooks and Shelby, they shared some amazing insights on trends that we've loved and what's coming next. Brooks shared, we're going to see oversized, billowing linen structures for head tables, arches, champagne towers, bridal gowns in mixed colors, patterns, and prints. We also might see more film photography and Super 8 video for nostalgic storytelling. Shelby shared, look for a big resurgence of silver. Gold had its moment. Silver's coming back in a classic way. More fabric is integrated everywhere. Menus, signage, ceremony backdrops, draping, fringe, lace details. Despite the color of the year being white for 2026, color is still here to stay. Mismatched linens, bold accent colors, mismatched bridal dresses, and playful patterns. But how do you balance personality and timelessness? This is where people can go a little overboard. So here's our best advice. Don't design your entire wedding around one trend. For example, bows are beautiful, but if bows are on the cake, the bouquet, the shoes, the napkins, the favors, the bridesmaids' dresses, the invites, it may feel dated down the road. Instead, build a strong, timeless foundation and then sprinkle in the trends with intention. How do you turn inspiration into reality? One thing that Brooks shared about this that I loved was how she pulls inspiration from cinematic references. She says if she's designing an elevated dinner inspired by Casino Royale or breakfast at Tiffany's, she asks herself, what would the place cards look like? What drinks are being served? What sounds, scents, and lighting creates that world? Your aesthetic is a world you're building, and every detail, big and small, plays a part. And this is exactly where a planner or a designer shines. Shelby told me that translating inspiration into real design boards and vendor instructions is a huge part of her role. When your aesthetic is clear, the execution becomes so much smoother. I told you I was going to come back to this, and I am. Why your venue matters. I won't go too deep into this because next week's episode is entirely about choosing your venue. But I'll say this, your venue's architecture, natural light, layout, and surroundings have a massive influence on the aesthetic. Some designs thrive in certain spaces and they can feel out of place in others. So more on that soon. If you take anything away from today's episode, let it be this. Your aesthetic doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to feel like you. Start small and refine as you go. Create a mood board early and communicate it clearly. Your vendors will thank you, and your wedding will feel cohesive and intentional. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If this was helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next weekly wedding chat. And be sure to follow the Sixpence and Foundations Wedding Planning on socials for more real wedding inspiration, design ideas, mood boards, and planning tips. I'll see you next week when we talk all about choosing your venue. See you then. Today's episode was sponsored by Pastry Sweet and Salty. They are an artisan bakery specializing in custom cakes, macarons, and desserts of every kind. Pastry Sweet and Salty adds a delightful touch to your special day with memorable and delicious sweets. XOXO. Love you. Bye.